Hey, yo, what's up, everybody out there in Powercast in the internet world? Your Balamau Power here, Golden Mike from the North. We're here live Friday night at our podcast. Tonight, we have a couple of special guests that will be joining us. So I thank you for your time for being here, joining us tonight. And it's so good to be here. For those who don't know what Powercast is, here from the Black Table, we talk about everything from business to life to culture to art. And just about having a yarn with these people and their deadly stories. Now, I want to set the intention straight from the beginning. All we want to do is just to really share some stories, empowering stories, having fun with these people who come on as our guests. And through their story, hopefully we get some life gems and see how they made it to where they are in their career and in life. Before I continue, I'd like to acknowledge that we are here on Gimui country, where I'm doing this live stream from. And I want to say a welcome and acknowledgement to all the traditional owners from your country that you are viewing this from right here. So without further ado, I am going to introduce my guests live all the way from Townsville and from South Australia. We have Brother Choolburra and Kevin Kropinyeri. Brothers, we finally made it. We finally made it.
Sean, yes. I'm loving the hair, bros. I'm loving that hair, cuz. That's what my back looks like, cuz. That's what my back looks like. Exactly the same.
It's like a spider.
The black fella, Sideshow Bob there, look.
True. Okay, I will introduce you properly, brothers. Can you see me? For those who don't know, Sean Choolburra and Kevin Kropinyeri are two profound artists from the region. Guys, I think there's some feedback somewhere there. But two profound comedians from the region who are pioneers, who started up, this comedy industry, really are the ones leading the way, who have led the way, laid down the foundation, and they're here to have a yarn about how your journey and your career started, or their journey and career started. And what I'd like to do is throw it over to you, Choolburra. If I can get that started with you, Sean. If I can get you to introduce yourself, like properly, and from what month you're from, proper way, and just the country you're on at this point.
Sean, you're up.
To answer that?
Yes.
Brother Shawnee, tune in, cuz. Tune in, brother.
Yes, my brother.
I was just looking at that golden microphone.
That golden microphone wouldn't last too long in my community. Where's that golden microphone? Cash converters. That's where it is. Cash converters. Yeah.
Well, let me ask the question again. My brother Sean, who you mob, where you from, and where are you right now?
Okay, so I'm in Townsville right now. Born and bred in Townsville. I basically, my mob is from Cardwell. Girramay mob. Also Gugu Yalanji. Laura all the way to Hopewell, Gugu Imara. And my mum's mother comes from Mount Isa, Bullia, so I represent Kalkadoon and Pitta. But I was born and raised in Townsville, and then moved to Sydney.
Deadly, brother, deadly. And so you're back in home country right now. What brings you up that way?
Yeah, I've been coming up here doing a bit of COVID videos for health services and stuff like that. So I come up, I had to do some stuff for some schools and that, and and just hanging out on country and just enjoying having like this, like usually people we're like working crazily, and yourself, we gig every day almost, and we're flying around the country, and to have a bit of time out and time out for ourselves as well. It's and be on country, and sometimes you're too busy or you're too far down south, and you tend to miss family events or gatherings and stuff like that. And at the moment, so I'm sort of taking advantage of you. Gavin. Taking advantage of
you got me drawn into it. I was just seduced by that hair. All right, my brother Kev. You, my brother, you can introduce, like, tell me who you mob, like, and you're in South Australia right now, but where you from, and just give that background, my brother.
Yeah, true deadly, my brother. I'm a proud Ngaranjeri Corny. So Ngaranjeri is my people. Corny means man. So I'm from the lower River Murray Lakes and Coorong region in South Australia. So basically, all the mobs that know that movie Storm Boy, that's my country. Storm Boy, that movie. And so where the River Murray meets the sea, the Coorong area, that's where I'm from. I live on a little Aboriginal community called Rauken. So the black fella on the $50 note, that's David Uniapan, the little church that's on the $50 note. That's the
Yep.
church on the Aboriginal community, Rauken, where I come from. I live there. But I'm a few mobs too. My biological father's Narunga mob, so York Peninsula in South Australia. My great grandmother is Bowendick, so down towards southeast of South Australia, Mount Gambier mob.
Yep.
So the Bowendick must my great grandmother's country, and then my other great grandmother's country is Lachi Lachi from Mildura.
Yep.
So born and bred and raised on Ngaranjeri country. So I acknowledge all the mobs, but proud Ngaranjeri man, yeah.
Deadly, my brother. So
Deadly.
the main
Proper.
the question, brother, is the question. Comedy. What brought you both to the world of comedy? I will start off
I would like
with
to come in first. I'd like to come in on that one
okay.
quickly
Okay.
because I've been doing comedy for 13 years. 13 years. And
Wow.
for everybody out there, I was working at the Murray Bridge High School as an AEW, and I took a bunch of kids. I was already in with the Deadly Vibe mob, already as the resident artist for the Deadly Vibe fellas. And as an art, because I'm an artist who fell into comedy. So
Okay.
we took a group of Murray Bridge High School students, high achievers, to the Deadly Awards. And
Yeah.
so I'm sitting at the Deadly Awards, and I see this black stump on stage. You know this fella, the black stump, Sean Choolburra? And I see this black dot on stage, and he's just smashing the crowd at the Sydney Opera House. And I'm like, laughing my hole out, and I'm like, I can do that. I can do that. Right? And then I remember ringing my ex-wife at the time and said, hey, there's this deadly black fella, comedian Sean Choolburra. And I was quoting all these jokes, and I said to her, I can do that. I can do that. And that was September 2007. And then I went, so it was Sean Choolburra that inspired me. That the fellow with the air there now on the screen, Sideshow Bub, not Bub, Bob, Sideshow Bub, yeah, that got me into. So Shawnee is the one that inspired me to get into comedy. So that was in 2007. Come 2008, Deadly Funny, I went in through the South Australian heat, end up winning it, and then so
Wow.
I always honour and acknowledge my deadly brother Shawnee.
My brother, they call you. Thank you for sharing that, my brother. So, brother Sean, you are considered the godfather of Aboriginal comedy,
Absolutely.
and this has been well known within the industry. I knew of you before I met you. So, how did you get into comedy, brother?
Well, I think around 10 years old, a fellow who I just saw recently, and he's a Townsville local boy named Midgie Ross. And me and him grew up together, and as you do with a whole bunch of others. And at 10 years old, he told me to do stand-up comedy. And it kind of always stayed with me, like in the back of my head. And here I went on to do, other little things. I was DJing with Marcus Pedro.
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
Marcus. He's deadly, yeah.
Yeah, and he was my first ever real role model mentor in DJing. And I used to
yeah.
DJ in Cairns, Innisfail, England with Marcus Pedro and all the crew. And and then I then took up dancing, down at NICE, the dance school in Sydney. But the weird thing was, where we all stayed at the hostel, we would all walk past the Sydney Comedy store. And I thought, man, I'm supposed to be in there, not dancing. So long story short, I was dancing with Vanguard, all that kind of stuff. And then I think years later, I think I finished dancing and I was at the age of 33, which was 18 years ago. I decided to walk in to the comedy store and take up stand-up comedy. And I watched all these comedians do it, and I thought, man, I could do that. It's easy, you know. And just like how Kevin said, we kind of got that, like that confidence, that attitude, that ballsiness, where that little black stuff. Man, I can do that. I'm more funny than them. What they think? So I just put my name down, and I went on, and then I think from there, I went on to the footy show, and went from there, and then basically,
Deadly, brother. Deadly, man. Coming into that world of comedy at that time, pretty much was you laying down the foundations. What was like, the same experience up in the Torres Straits to music? There was really nothing to measure yourself off in the industry. You kind of had to do it and create it as you go. So, what were the challenges that you were facing? And because you're starting out, it would be a difficult journey. I'll throw that question to both of you.
Well, for me, I think it's and then Shawnee's I think he was about 7 or 8 years. I think I'm going on 13 years in comedy, 12 years. Shawnee, you'd be about 20 years now, aren't you? 20 years of comedy.
18.
18.
Yeah. So like even when I first started getting the comedy, it was Brother Shawnee that took me under his wing, and I was doing his warm-up shows. Now Shawnee does my warm-up shows now. Thank you, Shawnee. But muck around, brother. Anyway, but the thing is, for me, it's like doing blackfella comedy for blackfellas all over Australia, and then you smash it then you actually transition into the white comedy scene, in the white comedy landscape. And Australia is a big, as a comedy, what Shawnee was, I was asking a lot of questions with Brother Shawnee, and so we've had to learn to make white fellas laugh and black fellas laugh. So for me, is transitioning into white comedy, into the white comedy landscape. That was one of the hardest things I found, because making my mob laugh, that was the easy part.
Yeah. What did you find? Was it because the jokes didn't translate, or like why was that transition like that?
Yeah, the jokes didn't translate for me, and what's funny for us black fellas is not necessarily funny for white fellas, and so it was just finding that common touch where you can still be you and still talk the same way, still be the same way, but connect with the wide audience and bring them into our world and have them laugh with us. Because you do 50-50 crowds, half black fellas, half white fellas. Black fellas are going out to it, laughing their holes out. Next minute, white fellas saying, "Oh, that's funny. Am I allowed to laugh?"
Yeah, that's very true though. I mean,
that's where Brother Shawnee's always helped out for me, because he goes, "Kev, we have to be twice as good." Remember you saying that, Sean? You have to be twice as good, because these white comedians can't do what we do. They can't come into our communities and make the way other brother.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you want to add on to that, brother? Like the challenges you face. I mean, being a pioneer, laying the foundation. The first is always gonna pretty much get the brute force of everything. So I'm very curious to hear, like some of the things that the challenges that you have had to persevere.
Yeah, I think like from starting out, I think obviously one of the hard parts was it is an all-white industry. It is an all-white industry, and there's there might be a few Asian comics and Indian comics and a couple of African comics and Greek and Italian, and there's no sort of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Island reps, and that are doing the like stand-up comedy circuits, and and I think one of the probably one of the obstacles was, you know, are they going to find our style of humor funny? You know, because most blackfellas, we talk with a bit of an accent. You know, we have a blackfella style, a little bit of accent, or we might add in a couple of our own little words or our own little slang or lingo words and stuff like that. And I remember doing a couple of the comedy clubs, and I think an Egyptian comic said to me, "Get on the footy show." And I remember he told me to get on the footy show, and I went on the footy show, and I think that's where it kind of really exploded for me, like in terms of the coverage, you know, and going on that footy show when I told the joke about kung fu and stuff like that. So I think that's when everyone realized there and then.
That's a good joke, by the way.
We don't have to be a singer, or we don't have to be an actor, or we don't have to be a dancer, you know, or, you know, we don't have to be a rapper, or we don't have to be, you know, any other type of job. Now, we created a brand new job role, you know, like a new avenue for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Island people to get into. And since then, long story short, you know, there's all these comedians now. There's you know, and more Torres Strait comics, more Aboriginal comedians, and now they're becoming you know, comic writers. Things like that, and you see them through the circuits and that, and it all started from you know, me being 10 years old and a fella saying, "You should do stand-up comedy," and it just started from there. And now we've got stuff, you know, mega stars like Kev there, you know.
You two are very humble, man. So I just gotta say, like, I'm standing here with two great comics. I mean, sitting here talking to you guys. I want to acknowledge you, Brother Sean. Take the hats off to you know, because that's like pioneering this industry and seeing a lot of people come out under that, created so much more opportunity. And Kev, brother, the stuff that you've done, I've always been a fan, man. I love your comedy. I think I got to go to this question, but before I do, I want to acknowledge all the people that's tuning in right now. So we're live. People are tuning in. Please throw comments. Ask these two funny brothers whatever you want. You know, those who are tuning in on Facebook, we're on YouTube Live, and we're also now on Twitter, Periscope. So everybody tuning in, ask questions. Take a shot at these two guys. Then they'll give them back to you. We'll have fun. The comedy styles. When I see the guys' shows, you're very animated. You know, I can see a lot of body movement in there as well. As far as, you know, getting the some of the punchlines or the jokes out there. Are there different type of styles of comedy, and what are they, and what would you call your style?
I think for me, I like to observe, and I can watch, because like Sean, how many gigs we've done together, eh? Thousands of gigs, and we watch each other night after night after night when we do those tours and do festivals. And for me, Sean's the pure essence of a entertainer. He'll take you on a journey. He'll Sean is, and his strength is ad lib, man. I seen Sean. I mean, like, I'm the biggest laugher out of all of out of our crew, and Sean's a pure entertainer as well. He brings that funny through the comedy, but Sean's got everything, dance, everything, man. I think, and just watching Brother Boy weave his magic for years, and now we're doing the Aboriginal Comedy All Stars together, and paving the way internationally and nationally with that as well. So Andy's more of a dialogue, eh, Russ? He just kind of like just cruises. He sits in second gear, doesn't, you know, and then bang, punches. Everyone's got their different style, eh, Shawnee?
Yeah, you got. See, if I was to, like, say, in comparison of like Kevin Kropinyeri's style of comedy, I mean, he's probably the Australian version of Bernie Mac. I mean, he goes
Nice.
I see him go on, and he will be all dry, and he can come off the stage soaking wet. I've never seen any comedian go on stage and come off so good where you could actually take your shirt off and ring it. You know what I mean?
That is true, my brother. I sweat like a dog, like a dog. Yeah.
Oh,
There's
classic,
a lot of different
classic.
style. I mean, you know, you got real community style comedy. You've got real old school style comedy. And when I mean old school, I mean like, you know, them old stories that our parents or grandparents generation, where they came from, you know, those real old stories, even like when they spoke in a bit of Creole and that real broken English, and you kind of go,
Yeah,
man,
like
that's funny as it is.
yeah, like the old jokes, like how do you, like in the quarters, how do you plead? Well, when he cut me open, I was pleading there and pleading here, you know, like them old jokes like that, cuz, you know. He hit me with the bottle and she hit me with the bottle and I was pleading all over the place, Your Honor, you know, shit like that. But it's funny though, you know.
Yeah, that's like that real old school comedy. I mean, like, but we do notice the comedy is now moving, probably same, but you know, you got your traditionalists, you know, like, you know, I can't help it. I'm 50 years old, so obviously my style is going to be, you know, probably old generation material, and then you've got, you know, new comedians where they might be nerdy or, you know, Trekkie fans or Star Wars, and I think probably the other day I was talking to one young comedian, and she, from this, you know, she's going to do act in Lord of the Rings, you know. So you know, and I remember me and Kevin, like, we started out as writing and workshopping all these young comedians, and you know, we always said, hey, it's not about, you know, being a stand-up comic. You can go and further with this. You can become a writer or a producer or director or anything like that. And when you look at some of the comedians out there, like they've gone to, you know, like this young girl, she was on last year's Night Up Awards, and now she's gone to Lord of the Rings to film in New Zealand. So this is kind of like what originally happened with blackfella comedy.
Fantastic, yes.
And it's kind of like progressing into bigger things. You know, you've got another comedian, Steph Tisdale.
Yeah.
Yep.
Also signed. She's signed the same label as the Hemsworth brothers, sort of thing. So
yes,
you know, that's quite a big thing as well. Like, you know, here we are, you know, talking about, you know, blackfella comedy, and you've got people like that are signed up with the Hemsworth brothers, or someone's going to do, you know, Lord of the Rings and things like that, and you got, you know, us, you know, doing, you know, Kevin's got a show next year at the Adelaide Fringe, and then we originally had a show with New Zealand at the Auckland International Comedy Fest as well, but due to coronavirus, and I think we might have had interest from Los Angeles and New York as well to take blackfella comedy over there, because they've seen a lot of style of comedy. They've seen a lot of American style, British style, and maybe Asian style and all that kind of stuff, and but they haven't seen Australia's
our style. Our style,
yeah.
Fantastic.
And it's new and it's fresh, you know. So they want to see us. They want to see the Australia's Bernie Mac there, you know, and you know, they want to see us, and to see how we go, and also to challenge ourselves as well, you know, like really challenge ourselves. So we set that bar really high, and when we look at the other comedians coming through, we say, hey, you know, we've taken this to New York or LA or, you know, Auckland, New Zealand, and you know, we want to take you guys on that journey with us. It's never been about egos or anything. We're all quite, you know, humble and down to earth, and we just go, hey, you know, and it's all props to, you know, like individual comics. We understand, you know, some get, you know, and during a certain time, you know, they're the flavor of the month, and you know, and things like that.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's what I love about you, brother. I'll go. Keep talking. Sorry.
Oh no, finished now. Yeah.
Oh no, and see, like, and there's been times where away from comedy, I've hit some lows, and we all do those lows, ups and downs, and people see the smiling, laughing fellas on stage, and you know, and then there's some times where Brother Shawnee, I've learnt on the, you know, and he's an epitome of don't get bitter. Don't get bitter. Things don't come our way, or there might be other circumstances out there. Don't get bitter. And Shawnee always said, but Kev, we'll be the last one standing, you know, and you know, got to be the last one standing. And it's like, I'm happy for everybody. When Andy got the block, brother Andy Shawnee's got the block, I was happy. When
Yes.
Shawnee was performing over in Harlem, I felt like I was over there in Harlem performing. So it's all that. If Sean's winning, I'm winning. If Andy's winning, we're all winning. You know, if Steph's winning, we're all winning. You know, and so one thing I take away from Brother Shawnee is that he's always upbeat. He's always got those little pearls of wisdom when because we got to live together when we tour, cuz, you know, and we always got
Yeah.
those little deep and meaningful conversations when we're not taking the piss out of each other. Because I swear one of these days I'm going to knock Sean and Andy out, but but hey, I got a big bear hug, bruss. I got a big bear hug. I wrap Shawnee up. He's like, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. But we have those little deeper meaningfuls, and they're always ways to, like, I'm going down the path, and Sean will say, yeah, but I've been down that path, so you don't want to do that turn, you know. So make sure you stay on this part, you know. So I think that love, and I'll say the word love, that we have for all each other is it shows in our show, in particular with the Aboriginal Comedy All Stars, but individually we're all flying and doing our own thing as well.
It's amazing, man. Interesting. Thank you, John Brady, for dropping a comment and said too deadly there for hearing your story and like the journey of seeing the opportunities of what this art form has created. Seeing your people coming out and making it into bigger and better things, and that's what it's all about: creating a new pathway, creating a new opportunity, and sharing that wisdom about the highs and the lows, because that part is very, very, very key. Like when you go through the low part is how you persevere and transition through. And I thank you for sharing that wisdom there, Kev. Sean, is there anything you want to add to that?
About the transition.
Yeah, when you're going through your lows, like that's the one thing. Like, first of all, I have to say it's amazing hearing your Kevin explain that, because a lot of the times there is, like, how you have the crab in the bucket syndrome and people try to cut you down, all those things. In our industries and our circles, it's never that. Even though when we're seeing, like you said, somebody else, is winning and someone else is getting an opportunity right now, we're celebrating that. And part of the reason why we created this podcast is for shedding light on that type of culture and also our achievements. But when you're going through the lows, carrying yourself through, Sean, one of the things, apart from you giving, pearls of wisdom back to the younger comedians, how do you carry yourself through that journey?
Well, you just, oh gee, it is a tricky one. Like you do get the highs and the lows, and sometimes when you're at the top of it, your phone doesn't stop ringing, or you have people want you for this and that, and then when it's quiet, and you just have to take those moments and just keep persisting, keep writing. I mean, during coronavirus, I think I've been probably almost just as busy, with writing stuff and looking for material that I can create. So far I've done a lot of work already with shooting health messages for coronavirus and things like that. And no doubt, you're tuning into the news and stuff like that. So you're always writing. I think that's probably the best way to keep on top of it as well. To keep, it's a bit like going to the gym every day. It's the same thing. You got to exercise that muscle. You got to always keep writing. You always, our gift is our talking. So we have to just keep talking, create, write, film something, shoot something, come up with a creative idea, or whatever. Maybe join, get on other platforms of social media, whether it be YouTube or TikTok or something. You know, it's just
Yes.
it keeps the flow going. It keeps you relevant as well, and keeps you you know, just keeps going and you know, I only just saw last week or a few weeks ago there was a young comedian that we both workshopped, me and Kev, and he was on the TV show with Luke McGregor, and so yeah, I think the summer. Oh, it's one of those shows that they filmed down Tasmania.
Was
There
that
was
David
Jay
Wood, wasn't it?
Mara. He was in it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jay,
So I was quite excited.
Fantastic, amazing. See, there's so much more growth happening. Like you should see these young ones come through. So, um, okay, I do this all the time with music and everything, but I want to see what in the comedy world. Two questions, but I'll start off with this one. How do you work your material, new material? You know, you talk about workshopping and writing. Bringing that to the stage, that must be something, you know, I don't know. You have to take me to the world of comedian. How do you bring something new to the stage?
Well, it's like this, but our success is relies on laughs. You know, our success relies on laughs. So for me, it's always I have a concept. I have a concept. There's something I might be passionate about. It's all, you know, whatever. And then for me, it's always just around the table with the family and the mob, you know, and then just trying it with them. And then you might kind of like just fine tune it. I might talk to Andy Saunders or Sean or Stephanie about, oh, I'm going to try this joke. What do you think? Oh, no, put that at the end and then try it. And then you actually bring it to the stage. When you bring it to the stage, it may just fall flat. But every crowd is different, so you at least got to try that one joke about 3 or 4 times in different settings. One night you can do the same joke, exactly the same, 2 different crowds, and one's up and one's down. Right? But for me, I have jokes about people not laughing, so I can gain the crowd back straight away.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you come up with a concept, I always try it with the mob first, then I'll bounce it off some white fellas, and then I'll bring it to the stage. But I won't just rest on that one performance. I'll try it 3 or 4 times. So the stuff that you see at the All-Stars or our shows when we're touring, that's polished gold that we've been punching out for years. So we know that no matter what crowd we take it, whether it be Edinburgh, London, anywhere, Australia, that we know that that's going to go on and work because we've polished that piece of gold nugget over years.
Yeah. Sean, you frozen, brother? Or is that your new pose?
You doing that?
Hey, frozen there. All right, we'll get him back there.
Nostrils there. Zoom on his nostrils.
I wish I could zoom in.
Sean can do 4 lines of coke with them big nostrils. They look like
Well,
shotgun
we'll talk about it.
Like,
Oh, here he is. We better not talk about it now.
First time I ever remember meeting Sean was like to see her. I mean, all I remember is waking up 3 o'clock in the morning going, nostrils. You know?
You guys are gonna freak out the people with live streaming tomorrow. They're bloody nightmares.
The old aunties like, you can tell he black fella.
Sean, brother, how do you work your material, man? You're frozen again. He likes to be frozen.
I think I'm losing you guys. I think I'm slowly going out of like range. I can't hear you guys anymore.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? All right, just stand there, stay there, look pretty. I'll talk to you, Kev. Brother, so you had this tour. We were talking on before actually coming on behind, you know, in the waiting room about the tour that you just did, and I asked you the question about, you know, and it led into that that stage where it's kind of you fell off, like not falling off comedy, but when you're in a transition point where you're focusing on your art right now, and you were telling me you're coming from back to back from a huge tour. First of all, tell us about that tour and that experience, and what followed.
Yeah, I think for now, like what Sean and most of us performing artists, whether it be comedy or whatever, it's just really quiet right now. Like it's like for me, it's quiet, and but the tour that we done last year with the Aboriginal Comedy All Stars, we went to Edinburgh and London, and not only to Edinburgh, we made it on the BBC over in Edinburgh.
Wow.
If someone told us we done a whole full season, if someone said to us, "Oh, you're going to go to Edinburgh, you're going to have a sellout season, you're going to get 5- and 4-star reviews, and you're going to make it on the BBC, and it's going to be an absolute success in your first ever year."
Wow.
You couldn't write a better script. So just give me the confidence to say that, hey, I can still be me. I can still be me, black fella from Raucan Aboriginal Mission, and take my comedy to who I am, international, and the mob over there are going to get it, So it took me years to get to that point. But just to actually come back from an international tour and say, shit, I'm good enough to take it overseas. And stay humble about it, because you stay humble about it, but you feel a sense of achievement and pride because you put a lot of time, love, and effort in touring and being away from your kids. And through this whole thing, it's been such an amazing journey. But now, just a bang, Corona out of nowhere, you're making, I'm on a 6-figure income, and then bang, you're earning all this good money to go on back to just slow pace. And it was good for me in a sense, because you got to take the positives out of everything, and so my health is a lot more better. I'm a lot more better here because I'm at a slow pace now. And now a lot of people don't know that I was a full-time professional artist. Doing murals, doing mosaics. I've gone back to my first love, which is art.
Wow.
I picked up art contracts, and I'm painting again and designing, and so that's been another get back to my first love, because art's like my wife. I'm never going to leave her, and comedy is like my dirty little mistress. I'm having fun. Probably wrong analogy for a person that's had a but you're laughing. So comedy is about comedy. And
you drew me in. I was so drawn in. I guess it's the comedian you that you just hit me with a punchline. I'm like, that was left field, bro.
That's what my scars come, because of my life. Anyway, she loves you, but she's dangerous. Go sleep your dog and see what happens. That was that type of thing, yeah.
Oh man. So but so I just got to mention, I think we dropped. Sean has dropped out. He's having connectivities. I don't know. The black wires just crossed there. Once he pulled his hair out, it just messed up his signal.
Yeah,
the interference of everything. But yeah, so art. That's interesting. It's great that you answered the question. I mean, sitting on having all these gigs there, and then because I like to talk about the pandemic pivot, and that's where what happens when the pandemic hit, and you transition back into your art. So, and I think this could be a great conversation to touch on, especially because right now the creative arts industry, but a lot of industries have been hit and suffered. Like I too have lost, I lost 90% of my businesses, coming in from COVID. So when it was a transition, I had to find new things. And I guess one thing I believe about people like us is because we're so fluid in that transition that we're able to pick it up and still regain back on from that side. But what would be your pearls of wisdom if you could drop it right now, that's for people going through this time now, just sharing what you did through this pandemic effect, because it's affected everyone.
Yeah, I've got to be open and honest, brother. And I think the thing is that April was a dark month for me. I got lost here. I shut myself off from everybody. I shut myself off from my kids. I got really badly depressed, and I had some personal issues going on. For me, I think, and what was the turning point coming out of that, and it wasn't so much about the loss of income, it was just other things that were popping up in my life at the time. I think for me is you just got to put the positive foot forward. You've got to find one thing that's working for you and put that one optimistic foot in front of the other. And then you just got to find. Now I'm really comfortable. But it was for me to find that the silver lining on the dark cloud. That
Yes.
you're either going to be negative way of thinking or you're going to shift your thinking to a positive way. Because I remember reaching out to Sean and saying, "Hey, bruv, sorry, remember the time I reached out to you and Jody and I said, sorry, I've been being quiet. I've just been struggling, you know." And I think it's just being open and honest with yourself, and then but also finding those little positives in your life. And
Yes.
I mean, I lost a shitload of money, but I'm not about money. I was about struggling with other issues in my life, and
Yes.
around this dark time. And coronavirus, what it's done to our mob is isolated us, and as culturally, we're not like that. So it took a lot of our mob to adjust to that. You know,
Yes.
now that I've adjusted, I just kind of like I won't allow myself to go down the negative path of thinking.
Yeah.
Like we start snowballing negatively, like put the brakes on. Okay, things are there. Let's be grateful. What have I got to be grateful? I've got the love of my children. I've got peace in my life. I've got this and that. You know, I've got a lot of good things that I can look forward to. So, but it took me a long time to shift to that. You know, yeah.
Brother Sean, we're losing you a bit there. I think it's the hair, brother. You're interfering with the network. Can you hear me? Sean? No, I don't think brother can hear me, but tune in whenever you can, brother. If not, just sit there and look pretty. Thank you for sharing that, bro. Like that's really deep, and being able to be open with that, and that's I guess why. For me, it's the same thing. Once we lost 90% of the business, the first 2 weeks of all this stuff happened with the same experience. It was like, damn, here we go. And then I stopped and realized like this is not just an individual issue, it's global. So everybody will be going through it. And what can we do now to change in that? And this podcast, even though we've been on platforms like this, we've been planning it for like the last 4 years. It just activated a new ways of connection and being able to have this communication, but also share the stories because I know a lot of people are going through this very same situation. And at that first month, I got a lot of calls from people in the industry about the same thing. Musicians, community members, and it was about exactly what you described. Is that feeling of how do we persevere and come through, and one step at a time. And I love that gem that you dropped, and thank you for that. One optimistic foot at a time is the way that we move.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's amazing, brother. So what does the future look like for you right now? Are you focused that far, or is it just one day, one step at a time? How is Brother Kev working through all this?
Well, I think, brother, and I think like most black fellas, we're all spiritual mob, and I just feel like everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And so it's just that adjustment. And for me, it's like I got kids that I had to get out of Victoria for obvious reasons because of this coronavirus. My two youngest sons, and so now I'm currently at home, single father with my boys. You know, my 13-year-old and my 5-year-old, and living on community and so that's been my main focus. But I just honestly feel like everything's going to work out for the better, bruv. So it's just that kind of little bit of faith that like, hey, nah, things are like it is for now, but we're going to bounce out of this. And just in this right time, little things like you've reached out, we're doing this, and then there's other things that have reached out. I'm currently working on a pretty funny video clip that I think that I'm on something pretty good at the moment. So I just had a diddly yarn with sister. Sissy Christina Anu there, and
Yep.
talking about some of the comedy projects that I got on board, and so I've got some little things that I'm working on, which I think is going to blow up. So I'll be calling on you for that.
My brother, for sure, anytime.
So, but I just think that next year I've got Adelaide Fringe working on, and South Australia is pretty much doing very well. Knock on wood, and so we can start. But I needed this break. My body needed it, my mind needed it, and my spirit needed it. So now that I'm having the break, I'm starting to get enthused in particular the last 6 to 7 weeks. I'm getting very enthused about comedy, my art, and I just feel like everything's going to be okay, Russ.
Fantastic. No, that is great. You shared a bit about your art, there, bro. You were talking about what the project that you thrown out for tender, and one of the bigger projects that you were putting. Can we talk about that? And
well, I can't talk about it yet, but I can talk about some of the
ones
projects
that you
I have done. And
yes.
I just before I flew out to Edinburgh last year, I literally finished this 48-meter mural the night before I had to fly out the next day. And I was doing 16-hour days to finish this mural, bros. One, because Blackfella had child support due and had needed the money. But but that's a joke. But so that was a 48-meter mural on the side of the Murray Bridge Town Hall in South Australia. And so it had, that was probably one of my best works up until now. I've done, I do mosaics as well. So I do a lot of commission paintings, but I've got a good portfolio of public art pieces now that are quite big, as far as physically big. And so that's my thing. I like to do really big stuff. So this one that I've tendered for is about 6 meters in height and 8 meters in length. So it's quite a big. And what I've fallen into is different mediums as well. So I'll do painting, mosaics, and now I've fallen into metal work. Doing through metal, yeah. So, and that's something I'm really finding really interesting. So different mediums, but sharing my yarn, my talk, my dreaming stories, my culture through my art, Ngaranjeri culture, So, but it's something that I've always been passionate about, and I like to think that when all my comedies, when I've moved on from that chapter, I'll be one of these old fellas that'll be sitting back painting and enjoying and still paying the bills that way,
Yes. But that's deadly, brother. Thank you for sharing that. It's great to see that the versatility. I mean, being able to transition back from the comedy back into art, and I think that's what's really great about being I guess an entrepreneur and someone who's in a creative space, that we can fill in those mediums and go into those places. My brother, it's been. Sorry, were you going to say something?
No. It's all good, brother. I've just enjoyed the experience tonight, my brother, and I just want to just flip the script a little bit here. Love and love what you've been doing for a while. We've had the pleasure of sharing the same stage on a number of different festivals and as well, and so always loved your work and the love and the energy and that air, and because birds of a feather flock together, and so that stuff that when we all catch up with each other, it's all deadly, and been loving what you're doing, and I always share your craft and all your YouTube and music with all my mob. And I said, I know that black fella, and so so it's definitely to be able to do this with you, but love watching all the deadly stuff that you've been doing as well, brother.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you. I appreciate. It's been an amazing journey. I was honored to have met you, bro. I'm going to play a little bit of a snippet of one of the place that where I saw you live, which was an amazing experience. But before we go, I have a question here, brother, from Martin, who's always on, who's a great supporter. So thank you, Brother Martin, for coming on and watching this program tonight. But where can we check out your art?
Oh, look, brother. I'm moving on Nunga time down here. It'll definitely be up on my website very soon. Yeah, I've been a bit gamming and getting my shit together. So, but definitely, I'm hoping in the next 6 to 7 weeks that I'll have on my website. It'll be able to go. I'm just more than just a comedian. I do media production. I do graphic design. I do art. I do motivational speaking,
Yep.
and I do comedy as well. So, so definitely on my website in about 6 to 7 weeks.
Okay, deadly brother, and well, I'll share your website because I've seen that, and there's some great stuff on there for people who want to engage with you, connect, and also talk about some of the stuff, engaging with you and booking you. We'll be able to do that. But thank you, bro, for taking the time out this Friday. I know you're in the transition of moving houses, so I appreciate your time. Now, one more thing before we go, I always ask this question from our guest. It's unfortunate we can't have Brother Sean here, but I'll get that from him another time. But if you had one value, and I know we have a bag of values that we all live by, but one key value that you've carried with you throughout your career that has taken you through your journey, but that you can impart and share to our listeners and our viewers that they may adopt and take on their journey, what would that be?
Well, I'll probably answer that in 2 bits. I reckon always, if loyalty is one. My family know this, and my close friends know that I'm loyal to the bone. And so I'm a real loyal person. If you do the right thing by me, I'm real loyal to you. And I stand by my brothers. I stand by Shawnee. I stand by Andy Saunders. I stand by, Seth Tisdale. That you do the right thing by me, I'll do the right thing by you. I'm a real loyal person, and I think you always got to keep your pearls close to your chest. And I think, what are pearls? I think pearls of wisdom. I'm a real deep. Follow see the Kevin Kropinyeri, the comedian, but follows that know me know that I'm a real deep person. My mind is as deep as the ocean, cuz, and I'm real deep. So you got pearls of wisdom. So sometimes you got to keep those pearls to yourself because you
Yes.
don't want to share your pearls with people that don't appreciate what you've got to offer or got to pass on. So sometimes you got to keep those pearls of wisdom to yourself, and those pearls are passed on from our parents, our grandparents, culturally are passed down as well. So yeah, birds of a feather flock together. So when you got that loyal group of brothers and sisters that you're with, I take a bullet for those people that I love and love dearly, and also there's things about, don't go out there sharing your pearls of wisdom with people that don't love and appreciate, or don't throw a punch for those that won't throw a punch for you, metaphorically speaking.
Thank you, my brother, and thank you. Just got a message from Chris Rada, another brother there who was a part of the first podcast. So thank you. He agrees with you on that one, and I completely agree. I really appreciate you dropping your gems, brother. And please stay in line. I would like to have a yarn with you, but I want to thank you here now live for your time to come in here and sharing your story, your gems, your wisdom, and just your experiences with our listeners and followers out there. And hopefully, I know a lot of people got a lot of value out of it. I did, and I'm blessed to know you, throughout my this journey, brother. And I look forward to seeing great things. And when you do drop that video and all those videos, bro, you better hit me up.
I'm excited about it.
Yep.
I'm very excited about the project that I'm working on, Russ. Yeah.
Too good, too good. Now I want to know. I'll promote it definitely, bro. As well as when you got the artwork up on your website, I'm gonna keep watching it now. You got 6 weeks. You gave yourself a deadline, so we're watching.
6 weeks Nanga time, brother. Nanga time. I don't know what's worse. Nanga or Curry time, Torres Strait time. I don't know what's the worst time out there, brother, but it's definitely coming. Yeah.
It depends on your time zone.
My time, I'll be like, Nanga, please, Nanga, please, Nanga, please. Yeah.
All right, my brother. I will let you go right now, and I'll close up the show. But big yes of you. I'll have a chat with you after this, but I'll close up here. Thank you for your time, bro. Everybody, Kev Kropinyeri, all the way from down South Australia, joining us. So we thank him and big yes of therefore his coming on and sharing those pearls of wisdom. I want to thank you guys for taking out the time this hour here for rocking with us on Powercast, the third episode. It's been great with all the support, so I appreciate your support and continue your support, man. We got the Powercast Spotify playlist with all the artists that we're listening to and jamming to right now. You can see the link that's promoted on there, but check out our website. Our Facebook page. What we'll do is keep promoting those the new music and the music that we are bumping to, and we would love that you guys out there viewing and following support the artists by just streaming the music. I'll drop out Balakev's website as well, so go check him out, and also Sean Choolburra's. He's not on to close off, but he was here earlier. Some technical difficulties, but that's all good. For all our followers, I'm just going to say I would love your continued support. You supporting us, what we need right now is just you for subscribing and following. So go subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on his Facebook page, share the live stream, and getting the stories and the messages out there would be very much appreciated. And just we want to be able to give our stories and as much value as we can back. All the way here from the Black Table, I'm going to close it up right now. Balaya, all the way from far north, the Golden Mic, Mao Power. I want to say thank you from Powercast, and my team thanks you. Thank you, Helena, for dropping that message, and I appreciate you tuning in all the way from Victoria, and hope you guys are safe. Hope everybody is safe out there during this time, and you know how we say it here in Power Nation, stay inspired, stay empowered, and stay connected. And to go out, I won't play it here live, but I'll post it up on this page. The show of Express Yourself that Balakev performed at, you'll see a link to follow, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So stay safe and good night.